Well, I just want to do an official welcome of all of you. It is delightful to have everybody here in every place. My name is Reverend Jay Lang. If we haven't had the chance to meet, welcome to you. This is delightful to be in this courtyard, to be at the Napa Valley Center for Spiritual Living, as well as in this valley that we rest in, that we stay in, that some of us live in or work in, or just have our being in whenever we are here. I feel grateful to be here. I also recognize this as sacred land, a sacred land that has been inhabited for 10,000 years, if you can imagine that. People have been living in this valley, in this area, particularly where the Napa Creek meets the Napa River. So right in this area, there were indigenous people that lived and prospered and had a wonderful life fishing and hunting and growing crops. And for probably, I don't know, almost short of 100 years, it was a good place for everybody. But then there was a few people, and I don't want to dwell on that too much, but just to say that there were a few people who wanted to control the natural resources, the natural environment here in this valley. And it became a place where people didn't feel like they belonged, didn't feel like they had a place here to grow up and to be prosperous, that limited. So it's part of our vision and mission, as well as partnerships with other nonprofits and businesses, wineries, food restaurants that we partner with, other nonprofits, that we're creating a world that works for everyone. A beloved community that we start locally. We start with the community we have here, with the Napa Valley as a whole, creating a place that works for everyone, not just a few people, but for everyone. And doing what we can to do that. And we do that, and we appreciate you being here because your support. Speaking of silent auction, just let you know that closes in half an hour, 4:30, coming up really quickly. So if you have something you're bidding on. And just being here supports this cause for us to continue to do events. We did a 9/11 commemoration with our interfaith group last weekend, and it was covered by the NBC News. It was a beautiful ceremony with all different faiths. So that's a kind of example of classes and events that we do, workshops, as well as community action that directly helps people remove barriers or opens the door for them to live a more abundant, a more fulfilled life, to let go of anything that holds them back, to empower them to live a happy and prosperous life. It shouldn't have to be so hard just to be in a place where you feel like you belong, and that you have the freedom to be who you are and who you are seeking to evolve through. So thank you, first of all, for being a part of this. And thank you also to all the volunteers that have spent hours and hours setting things up, from the production to setting up the wines, to inviting wineries, to cooking food, to setting up tables, to donating items and bidding on items and setting all that up. So first of all, I'd just like to give all our volunteers a round of applause. And also this program, and yes, we will get to the live auction. I know there's some excitement building about a few things here, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I really want to honor a few individuals today who have partnered with us or done work on their own in creating this idea of a beloved community, a community where everybody belongs and everybody has an opportunity, or at least more people have that opportunity to live a fulfilled life, to live an exceptional life, an extraordinary life. And so I'd like to, in a minute, I'm going to call each of those people up and talk about them and give them a chance to speak a little bit, because I think it's worth it to have them. But I'm going to begin today with Charlie Toledo. If she could come up here. Charlie Toledo is the founder and executive. Is that what you call yourself? Or the the leader, the chief? How about that? Of the Soskil Intertribal Council, which is bringing several tribes together. And what's interesting is for many years they thought that the tribes, the indigenous people, had left the area and were no longer here, but they just integrated into society, partly because of safety, I hate to say. And so what I love about Charlie's work that she's doing is that she's bringing back these traditions and the pride of being a Native American. And part of that pride and part of the work she's doing is bringing back the rituals that were long lost or could be lost if we don't keep practicing them. So I'm inviting her to begin today to offer us a blessing for this event.
I was thinking I was going to bend down to that really low microphone. I thought, boy, that's easier than this one. Okay, so thank you for that gracious introduction. I appreciate it. And we're here at the oldest continuously inhabited place in North America. Right here, as Reverend Jay, said, the confluence of Napa Creek and Napa River. On behalf of my own ancestors, the Towa people, but also the people on whose bones we stand on, literally stand on. The Onisati, the Patwin, the Miwok, the Ohlone, the Pomo, the Numlaki, and the Wailaki. And these people were never lost, and the tribes, the traditions and languages weren't lost, they were hidden. And so, I'm just part of a very large movement of it's safe to come back out of hiding. So that's what we've done. I'm going to offer just a blessing song, a woman's warrior song. I was going to offer a water song, but I sang that today, and it's a little harder to sing. I still don't quite have the practice of singing it in public, but oh, hey, 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 ah-hee-yo, yah-hee-yo, hey, hey, yah-hee-yo, yah-hee-yo, hey, hey, yah-hee-yo, hey, 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 ah-hee-yo, yah-hee-yo, hey, hey, yah-hee-yo, yah-hee-yo, hey, hey, yah-hee-yo, hey, 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 yah-hee-yo, yah-hee-yo, hey, hey, yah-hee-yo, yah-hee-yo, hey, hey, yah-hee-yo, to the star system and back. Oh.
Really, you can stay up here.
Oh,
while you're
okay.
here. So I also know that her work is sacred work, and it's a lot of talking, education, telling the same stories, because sometimes we don't always hear those stories. And so she is very patient with us who don't know these stories, and we appreciate that patience and that deep spirituality you have with you as an Indigenous woman. And so we just appreciate that and continuing to lift up the stories of Indigenous people here. So with that, we want to honor you with a certificate.
Drum away. That's okay. I got it. I wonder if I can do it easier than others. So do we talk there or wait till everybody's up here? Okay. And then I'll just go back down.
Yeah.
Okay. The logistics. So should I stay over here?
So you should stay right there with your microphone, yes. Or do you want to hold one?
No, I think I can reach up.
Okay.
It's
We
hard
just wanted to give her a few minutes to talk about her work and honor that which she's doing.
And I was joking around with everybody, how to sum up a lifetime in 3 minutes. I've done it before, but, it's usually a little more specific. And I love that this, fellowship is here at this confluence. We were across the river for 17 years, and it was the first, sweat lodges that we were doing. So we had to, we're the only ethnic group in the world that has to contact the police and the fire department before we can pray. So I have a very close relationship with the fire chiefs and the sheriff's department and the chief of police I've had for a long time. But I started my path as a peacemaker when I was about 3 years old. At 16, we started taking on the war situation, and That's when I started having contact with the FBI. Up until about 10 years ago, I got to have contact with a lot of units. But I think that we all reach for, what is becoming in very tumultuous times that we're at with the pandemic and all of the, what we call earth changes. We're being challenged, to be the most that we can be. And this is a community here in Napa. We've faced a lot of disasters. This community comes together. I know that we all, in our hearts, carry the ideal of inclusivity and equity. It's not a reality yet. We've got a long ways to go. We literally stand on the bones of the people. And when we're talking about things, it's easy to talk about over there. Over there it happened. No, it happened right here. We are standing. There are mass graves all over Napa from the people that lived here for over 10,000 years, continuously. They did not wander away. And so on behalf of them, I've wandered around the world to a lot of war zones. I've been doing human rights work actively with the UN and other NGOs, they're called, in the international community around the world. Human rights for women and children, indigenous people of the world. So that's taken me to, Korea, Afghanistan, East Africa, Ecuador, Mexico. Several times we're doing lots of cultural exchanges with Mexico and South American countries. And here in Napa, we purchased a land base in 1998 to be one of the places that's dedicated to unity. Initially, we thought unity of all tribes, and then we thought, well, no, that's too kind of, exclusive. Unity of all people, but then the lizards and the birds and the coyotes. And it's now, for the last 20 years, has been dedicated to the unity of all life. And I think that if we all just have that in front of us every day, the unity of all life, how do we share this earth better than we have the last 50 years? It's not that long ago that we have to remember. And so may we all come to that place, and we pray every day. I do, and people that really know me know that where I go, and I had to learn songs because I realized people that do political work don't sing, and then we'd be in New York City at the UN or in New Zealand, and they say, sing a song, and I'm like, ooh. So I did start learning a lot of songs. So thank you so much. It's such an honor.
Thank you. Makes us humble when we hear all that she's done. So next, I would like to welcome our former mayor of the city of Napa, Jill Teckel. I first met Jill as I was part of the leadership Napa Valley. And I was so impressed with her and her ability to kind of guide us through how to be leaders. And then as the more I learned about her, it's amazing the amount of work that you've done over, do we say how many decades? Lots of decades.
Yeah, I know.
Starting with the school board and then the city council and then the mayor. And it got to be, to tell you the truth, no one would run against her because I knew they would lose. So it was... it's a delight how much work you've done with equity and affordable housing. It was under your leadership where we raised the first pride flag at City Hall. It was such a glorious day. I was there when it was raised, and you were there pulling the cord to raise it up, and it was so wonderful. And has always been an advocate and a voice for marginalized people. So we just appreciate Jill and all that you've done. So thank you.
Thank you. So I too got the prompt about 3 minutes, and I'm a politician, so it's like, yeah, okay. But I first want to thank you. It's nice to be included in this amazing group. I was talking to Brad earlier today, and I think we've got like 4 decades of service to this community, and we still get excited about talking about where we've been and where we're going. I appreciate that you're celebrating progress and steps that have been taken. We're never there. But we're taking steps, and Napa is a very different community than the one I moved to in 1971, and that's a good thing. So through different times, I've taken on different roles, and I'm just going to share a few on my path to talk about cultural diversity. I started a leadership program at Maya Kama's affordable housing project back on Von Brandt Street. And we brought the neighborhood together along with the members and the residents that were living in Von Brandt in order to create a community and to create leadership. And the program was designed and delivered in Spanish. And I had an interpreter interpreting for me so I could hear and understand what was going on with the group. That was a very good experience for me to understand a bit what it was like to live in a community where English was the major language and they were not as fluent in English. And so that was a great opportunity. We bonded. We got to the point where they got ready to graduate, and we were at their final meeting, and they said, Jill, you know, this is Mexican Shout Day. Can you lead us in a shout? And I went, well, I was honored. That was so neat. I get to do this. So I got up and boldly said, hip, hip, hooray. And it was dead silence. Because apparently what I should have shouted was Viva Mexico, which I did, and then we were connected. But it's so connecting is one step at a time. I joined the school board. We needed to provide programs for the changing the needs of Napa, and the bilingual program at Westwood was born. That program was very successful and had additional benefits that I saw one year. We were down lighting the Christmas tree, and Ballet Folklorico had always come and been part of that ceremony. This year, after the bilingual program at Westwood, the ethnicity of the group from Ballet Folklorico was very diverse. They had really expanded, and being at Westwood, the other students there wanted to be part of it, and Ballet Folklorico accepted them, and I thought that was another step forward for the city of Napa in diversity. And in 2016, after Trump was elected, there was a need for people to feel safe in Napa. There were people that were really scared. Police Chief Potter and I were invited by Father Mora of St. John's, and we went to 5 weekend masses in Spanish at St. John's so we could share our message that the parishioners were part of Napa and we were not part of immigration. So these are just individual things and small things, but they moved the community forward. We all have a part to play. So let's continue the progress. And again, thank you for letting me be here today.
Here's your certificate.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack.
Yes, and Viva la Mexico, right? Thank you, Jill. I wanted to make sure and include Jill with this because she retired during COVID, and I don't know, was really truly honored in the way she deserved to be honored. So let's give her another round of applause. And next, we wanted to honor Maria Cisneros, who's the principal of Valley Oak High School, for the work that she did in encouraging people of all races who struggled in school, who were divergent thinkers, but found a way to be successful at this high school here in Napa. And it's wonderful how she, it's our vision to empower people, all people, not give up on anybody. She wasn't able to be here today because she was receiving another award in San Diego, but we do have Stephanie Lamarca here to accept on her behalf.
Thank you so much.
So Stephanie is the counselor at Valley Oak High School, and she too is doing this work. So we acknowledge you too.
Thank you very, very much. So yeah, I am a counselor. I've been a counselor in the district for 21 years, and very honored to be here for Maria. She would love to be here, but she is getting an award for our school. Valley Oak's being honored as a model alternative high school, and she's accepting that award down in San Diego. So otherwise, she would definitely have been here. I am so honored to be here to accept this award for her because she's been not only an amazing colleague of mine for 21 years, but a good friend. And I'm wondering if I can just ask, how many of you know Maria Cisneros? Yeah, I thought I would see quite a few hands go up. She is so involved not only in our schools as just an amazing champion for young people. When I started as a counselor at Napa High School, she was a new administrator. She'd been a high school counselor before that. And I remember her fighting for English language learners. That was one of the things I remember most when I first got to know her. She was an immigrant student herself, an English language learner when she came to the States. And she was fighting to make sure that all students had access to honors classes, advanced placement classes, just constantly pushing for equity, cultural diversity, and just doing what's right for students in this community. And she's an amazing role model. I think she's helped so many youth in this community, and she sits on so many boards. She is so involved, I can't even keep up. She's been president of the Hispanic Network Society, worked with the police department. She's just very, very committed. She walks the walk when it comes to putting the hours in to help with equity, diversity, and just building a community for all. When you were talking about a beloved community, I really thought of Maria, because she helps build it, and I think she is beloved in this community. She wanted me to say a couple things for her, so I'm going to refer to my phone. She said, "Please let them know that my work stems from my personal experience and the inequities that I saw growing up. I've taken it to heart that all means all, regardless of who the students or the community members are. And please let them know how honored I am and thankful for my nominators." So I think it was Frances Ortiz, who nominated. So she wanted to thank her as well. So again, I'm grateful to accept this on her behalf.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. So you can begin to see the pattern here of these people that I would call difference makers. And the next person I would like to invite to the stage is J.T. Thompson. Moisture in the air, that's good to feel. Maybe the wind, not so much, but. So I first met JT when he started a celebration of Black History Month here in Napa Valley, which is kind of difficult to do, I would say, because people don't know what that means here, and we haven't had a big history of that. And maybe we could just drop some of the art down to the ground. I think that might be best. To the table top there. There's some gusting going on here. But I sure appreciate that, and it was great for me to experience not only people in this valley, but in other areas that you invited to be part of that, and eating traditional foods and just talking to people, and it was mind expanding for me. So I appreciate you doing that. And now, is it like 4 or 5 years you've done that?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's great.
6 years this
Great.
year.
And you started a new project, so I'm just going to hand it over to you and to talk about the things you're working on, worked on, or are working on. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. Yeah, it's just like Jay said. So I'm originally from Oakland, and so when I moved down here, I was just looking for things to do for Black folks, and for Black History Month, and I realized that there was really nothing here in Napa and Napa County in general. I think there was a couple things at the library, but I decided to do something on my own. And so the first couple years, I had a Black History Month dinner at my in-laws' house, and it was pretty successful for both years. And so folks were starting to encourage me to extend it and invite folks from the public. And so we did that for a couple more years, and it was great. And we have folks like Jay and other folks like Pete Shaw at Crosswalk as well, where we had the last event in person, and we are scheduled to have that again in February, because last year we did it online. So I think we had great turnout all the times that we've had it, and I think just to look back at it, folks they were waiting for something like this to happen, and I think there's not a lot of Black folks in this county, and I think there's a lot of native Black folks from here that's no longer here, and so I just decided I need to do something. And so it's been going on, and I'm hoping that it can go on for the long run. And because of that event, I've been also part of other projects addressing inequities and inclusion and diversity. And so with the First Five Network, ran Rainbow Action Network as well. And so, so I believe it's definitely important. I think when I came here, there is this inclusivity piece where folks opened the door for me, whether if it was recreational basketball. Had my coach Brad over there, won a couple of championships, but just the small things. I think we can address diversity, inclusion, and equity, just the small acts. I understand that the big system things are super important, but sometimes those small interaction, those small eyes are just as important than the big interventions, right? And so I think we all have room for that as well. And so I also work for the Healthy Human Services, so I'm finally kind of in the community, working in the community, living in the community, and there's a lot of other challenges out there too as well. And I know that I like to focus on the anti-Black racism because it's real, and I see folks living with mental health illness as well that's real, and there are folks who look like me in this county that are struggling with it as well, and so that's something that I want to address as well, and so I'm hoping that you all can be part of the Black History Month event coming up in February. I believe it's February 5th at Crosswalk. It's a great time. A lot of fun dancing, a lot of food, a lot of art, activities and arts for the kids as well. And so I will give Jay that information, and you can holler at Jay and get it, or also the Crosswalk as well. Okay. But anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you for all you're doing. So
yeah.
we'd like to give you this certificate of special recognition, and we appreciate it so much. Thank you. Yeah. And last but not least, Brad Wagon Connect is our last honoree. You knew you were coming up soon, yeah. I appreciate Brad in so many ways. He's part of our community, and yet we share him with the rest of the community because everybody knows Brad. Everybody. I mean, you talk to, when I first moved here, I just thought, oh, there's this guy in our community, but then you talk to people, you realize he's connected to everybody. And I remember one of the first experiences I had of you spent a night outside with homeless people, just camping. I could see you camping. It's not that, but camping, I would be intimidated to do that, but you wanted to experience what it was like to be homeless. And the only way you're going to know that is to experience it that way, to walk a mile in their shoes. And he was willing to do that. And so much of these things with equity, with affordable housing, with all the things you've done. And I'm so happy. And I know you're not going to run for re-election. So let this be the first of many times that you are honored for the times of service you did here in Napa County. Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that is true. I had in my mind that last year Jill was going to just be doing the circuit. Every week was going to be another event for her, and then we screwed up the world, and she didn't have any events. But her council did a good job of taking care of her, and I don't think she missed a beat. But there was that you would have gotten the full victory lap of doing this. Jill and I have known each other for a million years, as she says. We worked on designing parks together with her kids, and there's a little Browns Valley Park from across the street from Browns Valley School that has our fingerprints all over it. But she's done so much more with us. Charlie has been an advocate all the time, strong advocate for the preciousness of our earth, and I get that advocacy all the time. But she also, she comes and she's spoken to classes that I've had, and she puts her body out there to do this. JT is, as he says, the important job that JT is my power forward for my basketball team. Not for his 3-point shooting, though. I can shoot 3 points better than he can. But something that's going to be very important for us coming up in the near future is we hired our Health and Human Services hired JT to be part of our mobile mental health team, going out and working with people. So we don't have just one answer, call the police. We have another answer, and they're working hard to get that put together and come out there. I'm so excited about that. Yeah, that's worth it. And he will be priceless in that position. And Stephanie is a cool ass dude on her own right. She was my youngest son Max's. There you are. My youngest son Max's favorite person at Napa High, and he just loved. I'll have to mention that I saw you today. He was telling me that Death Cab for Cutie didn't play last night so he's in Philadelphia being a social worker now. So
There you go.
this 90% of what gets us elected on the Board of Supervisors is land use. You see that's the headline all the time. I've always thought that 90% of the job is not land use. It's the Health and Human Services, it's the library, it's all the other things that we do that's so good and so important in this area. I'm kind of, in some way, I'm nervous about leaving. I've got 1.5 years almost. I'm nervous about leaving, but I'm also excited because, when you're governing, you got to pay the bills, and you got to work with the others, work and play well with the others that we're working with, and you can be more of an advocate outside of being elected. We'll see Jill out there stomping, and she's still got to work with educate leaders, so she's still got a legitimate job. But I'm kind of looking forward to being able to be an advocate. When I was young, because I got elected when I was 30, so when I was young, I was an advocate for things, and and it is good. It's pushing the whole community, hopefully in the direction they really needed to go in the first place. So thank you for recognizing me, and it's fun, and I look forward to the future.
So here we are, your special recognition of humanitarian work. Thank you. Thank you, Brad, so much. So grateful to have him. So let's give just a round of applause for all 5 of our honorees. Thank you. And you just